This is Doom for the Xbox One from Bethesda Softworks and released in 2016. There are a lot of Doom games out there, and so far I've liked all of them to one level or another. Mostly my excitement for this game was back with Doom 1 and 2. Obviously, this is a significant step up in terms of graphics. I guess before I get into some specifics of the game, it's probably a good place to remind people, this is the summer of 2024 and this game is very accessible to purchase. I don't think it's too expensive. Seriously, Xbox One game prices are super low from what I can see, and this means you could get a pretty amazing library of games for a relatively low cost. This game is super solid, and if you're into first-person shooters, maybe a bit of horror or gore, you should probably give this a try if you haven't yet. It's Doom. I mean, it's a great franchise, and this is a fun one. I'm actually a little disappointed I didn't get to this game sooner. I think the story of Doom is pretty simple overall, and it really shouldn't be hard to follow. There are a bunch of monsters running around, and you need to kill them. That's kind of the long and short of it. More specifically here, you wake up on an operating table in a Mars military base. It just so turns out that while you were unconscious, a bunch of demons came through a portal, and they've been destroying everything they can find. So you grab your armor, a pistol, and you head off to make some carnage. It's probably important to mention, I don't play Doom for story. And I don't care about whatever character that pops up from time to try to flesh things out. Those characters never seem to matter to me, not really. I constantly am just rushing through the story with Doom. I already know there's some sort of a crisis, and I'm the guy to stop it. As for character development in this one, maybe some scientists pop up. Maybe they're responsible for opening a rift that these demons are coming through, but I almost don't care. There's just a job that needs doing, and they've given me guns to do it, so well, there it is. Now that I've established this game as having a relatively simple plot, or at least something that I ignore, what I'm really looking for with this game is really the gaming experience, whatever's left. The visuals, the handling, the way it just feels when you play it. First we have the graphics, and they're great, of course. Stellar, actually. As far as the design, we have the inside of buildings on Mars. They look sufficiently dark. Things are industrial. Good sci-fi stuff. There are plenty of crates kicking around, pipes, and tons of big machines just sitting in the hangar waiting to be used, I guess. This is sort of what I'd expect from a Mars base, I guess. And eventually you also get to go to the demon dimension, and they vary that scenery to reflect this other dimension as well. It looks great. I also think the levels are reasonably varied. Each map is pretty interesting, and you have to traverse some pretty complex layouts filled with tons of items to find, and different areas to uncover as well. I think Doom has traditionally been known for these things, and it's just no different here. This isn't an open world experience, but it's large enough to where that doesn't even feel like an issue. You're really busy in this one. Also, some of the harder to find areas, you can see them on a map sometimes, but it's not easy to actually figure out how you get to them. Some places have hidden levers, and you might just not recognize that you can interact with them. But once you know what to look for, or at least where, it helps. Some of these areas actually change the graphics to mimic the old school Doom graphics. I recognized that look straight away. And I was really impressed that they would Easter egg something like this in the middle of the game. I think it's very clever, and I really appreciate it. The demons you fight also, they look great, and most are recognizable as upgraded monsters from 30 years ago. I don't remember all of their names, but I do remember the way they look. There's this skull demon with rockets on his shoulders. He looks awesome up close, and I find dispatching one of these creatures violently is really satisfying. Doom has also been kind of famous for its map system, and we've got one here. When you're running around, it is fog of war until you run through an area. Or if you manage to find the download of the map, you can unlock the whole thing at once. It's a 3D map, and it certainly helps you navigate some of the more confusing layouts. I think this is great to know where you need to be headed, or how you need to wind back to get to a specific spot. It's very useful. As usual to Doom, there are doors, and some can be opened right away and others can't. And yes, we have the classic colored key system. Although, it's pretty neat, you get these 3 different colors, but you actually have an animation when you pick up keys. It's also for certain objects as well. You don't just step over a key and suddenly it's in your inventory, and I like that. There are also weapon and suit upgrades that you find along the way, which is something I really wasn't expecting. Yes, I was expecting to find the standard arsenal of weapons. But to be able to upgrade these weapons further and customize them a bit, that's great. I mean, you start the game as a tough space marine and you become tougher along the way, so awesome. When we get to the gameplay itself, like the handling, it actually handles really good. It exceeded my expectations. Controls are really responsive, and switching between weapons on the fly is reasonably smooth, which is great, because you're going to be going through a lot of chaos. With all the fighting you have, actually, you're also going to take plenty of damage, but they've also introduced a system where when you damage an enemy enough, you can make them stagger. When they stagger, they flicker an orange or a blue, and when you see this, if you're close enough, you can hit your melee attack and you'll perform a brutal finisher, and this will drop health recharges for you. So the game really encourages up-close carnage, and I think that's a great choice. There are also different animations for these close-up attacks, and they're all pretty great. Different enemies, obviously they look different, but you'll get different finishers depending on the angle you're standing compared to their position. That'll actually affect what you do. Maybe you grab and twist an arm backwards and you break it off. Maybe you grab a skull and crush it in your hands, or you kick a demon to the ground and then step on his skull. It's really visceral, and when you get on a roll, shooting and smashing, there is a real sense of accomplishment, for sure. We, of course, also get the good old chainsaw. This is a Doom staple, 30 years plus running. It's admired and appreciated by millions, just waiting for you to find. You do have to pick up fuel for it, but when you get used to it, it just cuts through demons. The chainsaw, as always, is a crazy ton of fun. The BFG is also pretty insane in this game too when you get it, although your ammunition is definitely limited. I think overall this one actually feels a little faster than I would have expected. Feels like it's turned up to 11, so it's just past what I was used to or at least expecting, based on the older Doom games. So Doom, yeah, this is a great first-person shooter, and if I were buying an Xbox One today, I'd definitely pick this one up. Lots of great demon killing. I'm pretty sure you can also grab it on Steam, of course. You can grab it on PlayStation. It's there, and it is accessible. It's awesome. There is, or at least there was, an online mode for this game as well, although I don't really play the online part of these shooters much these days. From what I understand, though, it was actually pretty popular at the time. It was a good online experience, and the gameplay was reported as being pretty balanced for that mode. A few years after this, they released Doom Eternal as well. I'm planning to get to that one in the next month or so. I really don't want to wait any longer because I'm already kicking myself for waiting on this one so long. The other one's just sitting in a box ready to get played. Well, that's all I have today for Doom from 2016. Thanks for stopping by for a look and hope to catch you on another video.